Commander Woojin Park floated in the zero gravity of the trade station, staring at the massive rusted hull in front of him. The metal was brown with age and covered in strange scratches. This was supposed to be a warship, but it looked more like junk floating in space. The blue-skinned alien smiled at him with too many sharp teeth. "This is finest battlecruiser in galaxy," Thexmar said in broken human language. "Very powerful, very dangerous, perfect for humans who want strong fleet." Woojin touched his helmet radio. "Nari, what do you see?" Captain Nari Kim was floating near the ship's engine section, running her scanner over the hull. "It's bad. Commander, really bad. The metal is falling apart. The power systems are almost dead. I think this thing is older than our grandfather's grandfather." Thexmar heard her through the open channel and laughed. "All ships look old from outside. Inside is different story. Very advanced technology. Humans cannot build anything like this." Woojin looked around the trade station. 12 ships floated in the docking bay, all looking just as rusty and broken as the first one. Each ship was supposed to be a powerful warship that could protect Earth from hostile aliens. But they all looked ready to fall apart. "How much for all 12 ships?" Woojin asked. Thexmar's eyes got bright. "For humans, special price. Only all your rare metals. All platinum, all titanium, all gold. Very fair deal." Nari's voice crackled through the radio. "Commander, this is crazy. These ships are worthless. We're giving them everything valuable on Earth for garbage." But Woojin knew they had no choice. Earth had just learned that aliens existed 6 months ago. The first contact had not gone well. The aliens had laughed when they saw human technology. They called humans baby species and said Earth would be easy to conquer. Earth needed warships fast. These rusty hulks were the only option. "We'll take them," Woojin said. Thexmar clapped his hands together. "Excellent choice. Humans will be very happy with purchase. Very, very happy." Jin-Ho Lee, the human diplomat, signed the contract with shaking hands. Earth was trading almost everything valuable for these old ships. If this was a mistake, humanity would be defenseless and poor. The other aliens at the trade station watched the deal with amusement. A group of red-skinned warriors pointed at the humans and made clicking sounds that might have been laughter. Green-skinned traders whispered to each other behind their hands. "Look at the little humans," one alien said loud enough for everyone to hear. "They think those old ships will protect them. How cute." "How long do you think they will survive?" another alien asked. "I give them 1 month before they blow themselves up." "1 month? You are too generous. Those ships should explode the moment they try to start the engines." The aliens were placing bets on how quickly humans would die. Some bet the ships would never even leave the trade station. Others thought humans might manage to fly them back to Earth before everything went wrong. After the contract was signed, huge robot tugs began pulling the 12 ships away from the trade station. The ships moved slowly, like they might break apart at any moment. Some of the aliens took pictures to show their friends later. Woojin watched the ships being towed toward Earth. Each ship was 300 meters long and supposed to carry a crew of 50 humans. They had weapons that could destroy planets, and shields that could stop any attack. At least that's what Thexmar had promised. "Commander," Nari said privately over the radio, "I've been thinking, what if we don't try to fix these ships the alien way?" "What do you mean?" "What if we strip them down completely? Take out all the alien technology and put in human systems instead?" Woojin thought about this. Human technology was simple compared to alien science. Humans used metal and electricity and mechanical parts. Aliens used exotic energy and materials that humans didn't understand. "It might work," he said. "But it would take months, maybe years. We have time. No one is attacking Earth yet. They're all waiting to see us fail with these ships." The convoy of rusty warships slowly made its way toward Earth. It took 3 days for the tugs to pull them to Luna, Earth's moon, where the biggest human shipyards waited. Admiral Subin Choi was waiting when they arrived. She was the commander of all human military forces, and she looked angry. "These are our warships?" she asked. "They look like floating garbage." "Yes, Admiral," Woojin said. "But Nari has an idea." They floated around the first ship, examining every detail. The hull was covered in holes. The weapons were missing important parts. The computer systems were dead. It was clear that the aliens had removed or broken the most important components before selling the ships. They didn't just sell us old ships, Nari realized. They sold us broken ships. They took out all the good parts first. Admiral Subin was quiet for a long time. Then she smiled grimly. So they think they cheated us. They think these ships will never work. That's right, Wujin said. Good. Let them think that. While they're laughing at us, we'll be working. Nari, I'm putting you in charge of the retrofit project. Take these alien hulls and make them into human warships. Yes, Admiral, it won't be easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is. How long do you need? Nari looked at the 12 rusted hulks floating in space around them. Give me 8 months, I'll turn these pieces of junk into something that will surprise the whole galaxy. Admiral Subin nodded. You have 8 months. Make them count. As they floated back toward the space station, Wujin received a message on his communicator. It was from the long-range sensors at the edge of the solar system. A large alien fleet had been detected, still far away but moving toward Earth. How long until they get here? Admiral Subin asked. 18 months, maybe 20, the sensor operator replied. Admiral Subin looked at the rusty ships again. Then we have 18 months to prove that you should never cheat humans. Time to get to work. 8 months later, the Luna shipyards looked like a giant construction site in space. Hundreds of humans in spacesuits worked on the 12 alien ships day and night. Sparks flew from welding torches, and huge cranes moved pieces of metal around, like toys. Chief Engineer Dong-hyun Yoon floated next to the first ship, watching his team tear it apart piece by piece. Take out everything, he told them. Every alien component, every exotic system, everything. I want to see bare metal. Work was dangerous and difficult. The alien technology was completely different from human machines. Where humans used wires and circuits, aliens used energy fields that could kill a person if touched wrong. Where humans used simple mechanical parts, aliens used materials that changed shape and properties without warning. Dr. Hai Young-jung led the team trying to understand how the alien ships were supposed to work. What she found made her angry. They didn't just remove the important parts, she told Dong-hyun. They deliberately broke things. Look at this power coupling. Someone cut it with a torch and then welded it back together wrong. So the aliens never intended for these ships to work at all, Dong-hyun said. Exactly. They wanted us to die when we tried to use them. This was supposed to be murder disguised as a sale. But Hee-young had also discovered something interesting. The alien hull design was actually very good. The shape was perfect for moving through space quickly and efficiently. The internal layout made sense for a warship. The aliens had built good ships, then deliberately ruined them. What if we keep the hull but replace everything inside with human technology, she suggested. Captain Tae-ho Kim, Nari's brother, was in charge of testing the new ideas. He had been a fighter pilot before becoming a spaceship captain, and he understood how to make things work in combat. Human technology is simpler, he said. But simple can be better. Our weapons don't need exotic materials. Our computers work, even when someone is shooting at them. Our engines run on fuel we can make anywhere. The first test was with the ship's power system. The alien energy core was completely broken, so the engineers installed a human fusion reactor instead. It was bigger and heavier than the alien version, but it was also more reliable. Alien power systems are elegant, explained engineer Mi-young Park. They use quantum fields and exotic matter to create incredible amounts of energy in a small space. But if anything goes wrong, the whole system fails instantly. Human fusion reactors are crude compared to alien technology, Tae-ho said. But crude means reliable. If someone shoots a hole in our reactor, we can fix it with metal plates and welding torches. If someone damages an alien quantum core, the whole ship becomes a bomb. The weapons were the next challenge. The alien energy cannons were gone, and humans didn't understand how they worked anyway. Instead, the engineers installed railguns, magnetic accelerators that could fire metal projectiles at incredible speeds. Energy weapons are flashy, Mi Young explained to her team. They make pretty lights and can melt through most materials, but they need huge amounts of power and exotic, focusing crystals. Railguns just need electricity and metal slugs. Plus, energy weapons can be blocked by shields, added Taeho, but it's hard to stop a chunk of tungsten moving at 50 kilometers per second. The biggest breakthrough came when they started working on the ship's computer systems. Alien computers used quantum processing and exotic algorithms that humans barely understood. But human computers had one huge advantage. They were designed to keep working even when everything else was falling apart. Look at this. Ha Young showed her team a comparison. An alien computer can process information millions of times faster than our machines. But if you hit it with an electromagnetic pulse, it dies instantly. Human computers are slower, but they're built like tanks. You can shoot them, flood them, even set them on fire, and they keep working. The work was exhausting and dangerous. Mi Young lost her arm when an alien plasma conduit exploded while she was trying to remove it. The doctors gave her a robotic replacement, and she was back at work the next day. This project is more important than my arm, she told everyone who asked. Earth needs these ships to work. After 6 months of constant work, the first ship was ready for testing. They called it the Indomitable, and it looked nothing like the rusty hulk they had started with. The hull was still the same shape, but now it gleamed with fresh metal plating. Human weapons stuck out from ports along the sides. Human sensors clustered around the nose like mechanical eyes. Captain Taeho took the ship out for its first test flight. Nari monitored from the command center while Donghyun watched the engine readings. Power systems are stable, Mi Young reported. Fusion reactor running at optimal levels. Weapon systems ready, said the gunnery officer. Railguns charged and targeted. Navigation computers online, reported the pilot. All systems responding, normally. Taeho smiled as the ship accelerated smoothly away from Luna. The alien hull cut through space like a knife, but now it was powered by human determination and engineering. How does it feel? Nari asked over the radio. Like driving a race car that was built by people who actually know how to win races, Taeho replied. This thing is fast, tough, and deadly. But their celebration was cut short by an urgent message from Earth's long-range sensors. The alien fleet they had detected 18 months ago was moving faster than expected. It would arrive in just 4 months, not the year they had hoped for. How many ships are in the enemy fleet? Admiral Subin asked. 200, the sensor operator replied. All of them much newer and more advanced than what we started with. Admiral Subin looked at the 11 ships still being converted. How many ships will be ready in 4 months? Maybe 6, Donghyun said. 8 if we work around the clock and get lucky. Then we'll have to make 6 ships do the work of 200, Admiral Subin decided. Keep working. I have a feeling our human modifications are going to surprise these aliens more than they expect. Nari watched her brother fly the Indomitable through a series of combat maneuvers. The ship moved like it was alive, responding instantly to every command. Human technology might be primitive compared to alien science, but it had one advantage. The aliens had forgotten about. It was built by people who never gave up. The Korthak Dominion fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system like a swarm of metal wasps. 200 pristine warships hung in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with advanced armor and exotic weapons. Each ship was 3 times larger than the human vessels waiting near Earth. War Commander Vex Thule stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the sensor displays with satisfaction. Only 12 human ships, he told his officers. And they are using the same garbage hulls. The Velans sold them. This will be easier than expected. Admiral Subin Choi watched the alien fleet from the bridge of the Indomitable. Only 8 of the human ships were ready for battle. The other 4 were still being converted at Luna, but there was no time to finish them. All ships report ready, Captain Nari said from her position at the communication station. Weapons charged and targeted, reported Captain Taeho from the Defiant. Remember the plan? Admiral Subin told her captains. We are not trying to win a traditional space battle. We are trying to survive long enough to show them that humans fight differently than anyone else in the galaxy. The Korthak ships began moving toward Earth in a classic attack formation. Their energy shields glowed with power, and their plasma cannons charged for the first strike. War Commander Vex Thule expected the humans to meet them head-on, the way civilized species had fought for thousands of years. Instead, something unexpected happened. The human ships suddenly went completely dark. "I have lost all sensor contact with the human fleet," reported the Korthak sensor officer. "No energy signatures, no communications, no movement." "Impossible," Vex Thule said. "Ships cannot just disappear." But the human ships had not disappeared. They had switched to completely passive operation. Their fusion reactors were running at minimum power. Their computers were using stored battery power. Their engines were shut down, and they were moving only on momentum and tiny maneuvering thrusters that produced almost no heat. Captain Tejo watched his screens as the Korthak ships searched for them. The alien sensors were designed to detect energy weapons, exotic matter, and the quantum signatures that most spacefaring species used. They had never encountered ships that could operate in complete electromagnetic silence. "Enemy fleet is spreading out to search for us," Lieutenant Young-Soo Han reported from the Retribution. "They are confused." "Good," Admiral Subin said. "Phase 2. Use the asteroids." The human ships had hidden themselves in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The space rocks provided perfect cover for ships that could operate without giving off energy signatures. While the Korthak fleet searched empty space near Earth, the humans were preparing their ambush millions of kilometers away. "Remember," Admiral Subin told her captains, "our weapons are different. Their shields can stop energy beams, but they have never seen kinetic projectiles moving at the speeds our railguns can achieve." Young-Soo positioned his ship behind a large asteroid and aimed his main railgun at the nearest Korthak vessel. The target was a heavy cruiser, its shields glowing bright blue as it scanned for human ships. "Firing," Young-Soo whispered. The railgun launched a tungsten rod the size of a telephone pole at 20% the speed of light. The projectile was just metal, with no energy signature and no exotic properties. It was invisible to the Korthak sensors until the moment it hit. The tungsten rod punched through the alien shields like they were made of paper. The shields were designed to deflect energy, not solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. The projectile tore through the hull of the Korthak cruiser and exited the other side, leaving a tunnel of molten metal in its wake. The cruiser exploded in a brilliant flash of light. "First kill confirmed," Young-Soo reported calmly. Vex Thule stared at his screens in shock. One of his ships had just been destroyed by something his sensors could not even detect. "What happened?" he demanded. "Unknown, War Commander. The ship just exploded. Our sensors detected no incoming weapons fire." Before Vex Thule could respond, 2 more of his ships exploded, then 3 more. The human ships were using the asteroid belt like a 3-dimensional maze, appearing just long enough to fire their railguns, then disappearing back into the shadows. "This is impossible," Vex Thule said. "No species fights like this. Where are their energy signatures? Where are their shield generators? How are they moving without quantum drives?" Captain Tejo had moved his ship close to one of Jupiter's moons, and was using the moon's gravity to slingshot around behind a group of Korthak destroyers. The maneuver required precise timing and navigation, but it was exactly the kind of thing human pilots had been practicing for centuries. 3 targets locked, his weapons officer reported. "Fire all guns," Tejo ordered. The Defiant fired 6 railgun rounds in rapid succession. Each tungsten projectile found its target, and 3 more Korthak ships died in silent explosions. The battle continued for 6 hours. The Korthak fleet, designed for conventional warfare between civilized species, found itself fighting an enemy that ignored all the rules of proper military conduct. The humans used gravity wells, asteroid cover, and electromagnetic silence to avoid detection. They fired simple metal projectiles that could not be stopped by energy shields. Worst of all, they seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. "War Commander," his communications officer said urgently, "we have lost 67 ships. The humans have lost none." Vex Thule could not believe what he was hearing. His advanced fleet was being destroyed by primitive ships using obsolete technology. "All ships fall back to defensive formation. focus fire on any detected human vessel. But the humans had no intention of engaging in a traditional battle. Admiral Subin had studied every available record of alien warfare, and she knew that all galactic species fought the same way. They lined up their ships, charged their shields, and fired energy weapons at each other until someone lost. Humans had learned warfare in a different school. They had learned to use terrain, stealth, and unconventional tactics. They had learned to fight dirty when their survival was at stake. "Admiral," Nari reported, "enemy fleet is trying to retreat." "Let them," Subin replied. "But make sure one ship escapes to tell the story." Young-Su fired one final railgun round at Vex Thul's flagship. The tungsten rod tore through the ship's engine section, crippling it, but leaving the crew alive, as the surviving Korthak ships limped away from the solar system. Vex Thul sent a message to the Galactic Commerce Federation. His voice was filled with fear and disbelief. "The humans," he said. "They do not fight like any species we have encountered. They ignore shields, they attack from impossible angles, and they use weapons that our technology cannot detect. I recommend that no one attack Earth again. These creatures are far more dangerous than we believed." Admiral Subin watched the alien fleet disappear into hyperspace. Around her, 8 human ships floated intact among the wreckage of what had once been a mighty alien armada. "Think they got the message?" Tejo asked over the communications channel. "Oh, they got the message," Subin replied. "The question is, what are they going to do about it?" The news of the Korthak defeat spread through the galaxy like wildfire. On every trade station, in every diplomatic center, and in the halls of every government, beings who had never heard of humans were suddenly very interested in learning about them. Thexmar, the Velen merchant who had sold the rusted ships to Earth, sat in his office staring at battle recordings that he had watched 100 times. The primitive humans had destroyed a fleet that could have conquered entire star systems. Ships that he had sold as scrap metal were now being called the most dangerous warships in the galaxy. Impossible, he muttered to himself. Those ships were broken. We made sure of it. His assistant, a younger Velen named Kex Rin, looked over his shoulder at the recordings. "Perhaps we underestimated human capabilities," she suggested carefully. Thexmar snarled at her. "Humans are primitive. They barely understand basic physics. Their technology is thousands of years behind ours." But the evidence was right there, on the screen. Human ships moving like ghosts through space. Human weapons tearing through advanced shields as if they did not exist. Human tactics that no civilized species would consider using. Across the galaxy, the Galactic Commerce Federation called an emergency meeting. Council Prime Zelith, a tall being with purple skin and 4 arms, stood before representatives from 200 different species. "The situation on Earth has become a threat to galactic stability," she announced. "A primitive species has somehow developed military capabilities that exceed our understanding." "How is this possible?" asked Representative Mordex of the Hegemony Worlds. "We have monitored human development for decades. They should not be capable of this." "The humans took our old technology and made it better," said Representative Quillen, from the Crystalline Republics. "They ignored our advanced systems and used their own crude methods instead." Council Prime Zelith nodded gravely. "This represents a fundamental challenge to the natural order. Advanced species are supposed to dominate primitive ones. If humans can defeat the Korthak Dominion, what does that say about the rest of us?" The answer to that question was becoming clear throughout the galaxy. On dozens of worlds that had been classified as primitive or developing, local governments were asking new questions. If humans could turn alien garbage into super weapons, what could other species accomplish? Captain Nari Kim stood on the bridge of the newly completed exploration ship Horizon as it approached the water world of Aquatica. Her mission was to make contact with other species that had been exploited by the galactic powers. "Incoming transmission from the surface," reported Communications Officer Bin-Ho Lee. "They are speaking in the common galactic language, but the accent is different." The face that appeared on the main screen was unlike anything Nari had seen before. The being looked like it was made of living water, with features that shifted and flowed as it spoke. "I am Chancellor Reef Singer of the Naya people," the creature said. "We have heard stories about humans. Are these stories true? Did you really defeat the Korthak fleet with ships that others considered worthless? The stories are true, Nari replied. We turned alien junk into human warships. Chancellor Reefsinger's watery features seemed to brighten. Then perhaps you can help us. The Galactic Power sold us atmospheric processors 20 years ago. They promised the machines would allow our people to live on land as well as in the ocean. Instead, the processors barely work and break down constantly. Nari felt a familiar anger building inside her. Let me guess. They sold you defective equipment on purpose. Yes. When we complained, they said we were too primitive to maintain advanced technology properly. They offered to send technicians to fix the processors in exchange for mining rights to our ocean floors. It was the same pattern that had been used on Earth. Sell broken technology to primitive species, then use their dependents to control them. Nari was beginning to understand that humans were not the only victims. We would like to examine your atmospheric processors, she said. Maybe we can help you fix them. 3 days later, Engineer Mi-young Park stood waist-deep in an aquatic ocean, looking at an atmospheric processor that should have been capable of producing breathable air for 1 million people. Instead, it was barely working well enough to supply a small town. Look at this, she said to her human team. The main filtration system has been deliberately sabotaged. They welded the intake valves in the wrong position. Just like our ships, said technician Jamin Ko. They sell broken equipment, then blame the buyers when it does not work. But Mi-young was already thinking about solutions. We can fix this. Human air filtration technology is simpler than what they tried to use here, but it is also more reliable. Within a month, the first human-modified atmospheric processor was running at full capacity. The Naya were amazed to see clean, breathable air flowing from machines that had barely functioned for 20 years. How did you do this? Chancellor Reefsinger asked. We replaced their complicated systems with simple ones that actually work, Mi-young explained. Your people can maintain these modifications with basic tools and local materials. News of the success on Aquatica reached other exploited worlds. Soon, Nari was receiving requests for help from dozens of species that had been systematically cheated by the galactic powers. On the desert world of Xerion, she met War Chief Stonewalker of the Crystalline people. His species had been kept at a pre-industrial level by trade agreements that prevented them from accessing advanced technology. We have valuable minerals, Stonewalker explained. The galactic traders give us just enough technology to mine efficiently, but not enough to develop our own civilization. What if that changed? Nari asked. The trade agreements forbid it. If we try to develop beyond our current level, the galactic powers will cut off all trade and leave us isolated. Nari smiled grimly. What if I told you that the galactic powers are not as strong as they pretend to be? Back on Earth, Admiral Subin Choi was dealing with her own problems. The human shipyards around Luna had expanded dramatically, but they were running out of alien hulls to convert. The solution came from an unexpected source. Admiral, reported Captain Tae-ho from the bridge of the Defiant, we are receiving a transmission from the Velen Trade Consortium. They want to make a deal. Subin was not surprised. The Velens were merchants first and everything else second. If they thought they could profit from the situation, they would try to make a deal. With anyone. Put them through, she said. Thexmar appeared on the screen looking much less confident than he had during their first meeting. Admiral Subin, I hope we can discuss a mutually beneficial arrangement. You mean you want to sell us more broken ships? Subin said bluntly. Not broken, Thexmar protested. Perhaps incomplete. We have many old hulls that could be upgraded using human methods. And what do you want in return? Protection. The galaxy is becoming unstable. Some species are beginning to question the natural order. We need strong allies. Subin almost laughed. The species that had tried to cheat humanity was now asking for protection from the consequences of their own actions. We will consider your offer, she said. But things are going to be different from now on. No more cheating. No more broken equipment sold to primitive species. If you want our protection, you will have to start treating other species fairly. Thexmar looked uncomfortable, but he nodded. Perhaps the old ways of doing business need to change. As the transmission ended, Subin looked out at the expanding human fleet. 50 ships now, with more being completed every month. Each ship represented something that the galaxy had never seen before, the refusal to accept being cheated. Admiral, Nari's voice came through from the horizon. I have reports from 17 different worlds. They all want to join what they are calling the Human Liberation Alliance. Subin nodded. The galaxy was about to learn an important lesson about underestimating primitive species. Tell them we accept, she said. It is time to build something better than what came before. 2 years after the Battle of Sol, the galaxy looked completely different. The human shipyards that had once struggled to convert 12 rusty hulks now stretched across 3 solar systems. Massive construction platforms built new warships from scratch, using designs that combined alien engineering with human practicality. Admiral Chan Woo Park, Woo Jin's younger brother, stood on the bridge of the Titan's Wrath, humanity's first purpose-built dreadnought. The ship was 2 kilometers long and bristled with railguns, missile launchers, and defensive systems that no alien species had ever seen before. Status report, Chan Woo ordered. All systems operational, reported his first officer, Commander So Young-yoon. Fusion reactors at full power. All weapon systems ready. We are maintaining patrol course through the Galactic Core region. The Titan's Wrath was more than just a warship. It was a statement. Every alien species that saw it understood the same message. Humans were no longer the weak, primitive species that could be easily conquered or cheated. Incoming transmission from the Velen trade station, the communications officer announced. It's Thexmar, he says it's urgent. Chan Woo sighed. The Velen merchant had been trying to rebuild his reputation for months, desperately offering deals and information to the humans who had once been his victims. Put him through, Chan Woo said. Thexmar's face appeared on the screen. The arrogant merchant who had once sold junk to humans was gone, replaced by a nervous being who could barely make eye contact. Admiral Park, I have important information. The old galactic powers are planning something big. They are calling it the Final Fleet. Explain. Every major species is contributing ships. Velens, Korthax, hegemony worlds, crystalline republics, even the Void Walkers. They are building the largest military force in galactic history. How many ships? Chan Woo asked. Nearly 2,000, Thexmar replied. They plan to destroy Earth and end the Human Liberation Alliance before it can spread further. Chan Woo was not surprised. The old galactic order was collapsing as more and more species joined the Human Alliance. Worlds that had been exploited for centuries were declaring independence. Trade routes controlled by the major powers were being disrupted. The established governments were losing control, and they were desperate to stop the rebellion. When will this Final Fleet attack? Chan Woo asked. Soon, maybe 2 months. They are gathering at the nexus point near the galactic center. Thank you for the warning, Chan Woo said, and cut the transmission. He immediately sent a message to Earth. Admiral Subin Choi was now Supreme Commander of all human military forces, and she needed to know about this threat. On Earth, Subin received the message while meeting with representatives from the 47 worlds that had joined the Human Liberation Alliance. The conference room was filled with beings of every shape and size imaginable, all united by their shared experience of being exploited by the galactic powers. They are scared, said War Chief Stonewalker of the Crystallines. For the first time in thousands of years, the major species face real opposition. Good, replied Chancellor Reefsinger of the Naya. They should be scared. My people have suffered under their control for generations. Subin looked around the table at her allies. Each species brought different strengths to the alliance. The Crystallines were excellent miners and engineers. The Naya were master navigators who could plot courses through dangerous space. Other species contributed their own specialties. But humans had become the military backbone of the alliance. Human warships protected trade routes. Human engineers helped upgrade primitive technology. Human tactics had proven superior to traditional galactic warfare. How many ships can we muster? Subin asked her staff. 50 human vessels, reported Captain Nari from her position as fleet coordinator, plus about 100 ships from our allies. Most of them are converted using human technology. 150 ships against 2,000, Subin mused. I have faced worse odds. Admiral, said Representative Quillen from a recently liberated world, perhaps we should consider negotiation.